Watch this.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Cookie Jar Golf Podcast, brought to you in partnership with FootJoy. I am Tom Mills. I'm joined by Sam Williams, and I'm joined by Ryan Noades with part 2 of the America trip. Why are you pointing at me?
Can I just say we've worn FootJoy Premiers all tour?
Yeah,
all three of us.
Comfy
You've been on the
little
whites with the blue sole.
Blue
I've been on the ivory with the brick soles, and you've been on the Addington My Joys.
Yeah.
And not once have we complained about any foot pain. When they get, I think out the box fresh, 11, the amount of walking we've done, we'd have known about it, but they've stood up.
Yeah.
And these are so worn in. I think I could do 100 holes in a day. They really have been comfortable.
Seems excessive, but yes, my feet are fine. I couldn't say 100 holes a day.
We need to see it, Sam.
Well, you're going to see it one day.
Well, we're going to do it this summer, aren't we?
Well, 99. Are you going to do the 100?
I got an NEFC'd from that one.
Anyway,
we'll see.
So, we finished on Cabot, the Roosting crew. It would be remiss of us not to do a couple of things here. First of all, mention if you haven't listened to part 1, go back and listen to it. But it would be remiss of us not to mention the quality of both the wedge and the squeeze at Cabot before we move on to our next warmer climbs. So we did the wedge at night.
Great club twirling.
The whole setup, I think, would be interesting just to discuss for a few minutes.
Yeah. So there's a pizza van and a drinks van, music playing, some tables, big putting course, and a par 3 course, which is completely lit up with like low-level lighting all across the golf course.
Which was a blessing under curse.
Yeah, so you go out, and they, to be fair, they said this is like a trial, so they're going to be finessing this and sorting out these issues. But you see everything out in front of you, and you play, and then you sort of come back towards the clubhouse, and some of the low-level lighting is pointed at you now instead of away from you, and it's sort of in your eyes. And so if you get yourself in the wrong position...
It's like playing into the M6 at night.
I actually think it's part of the strategy of the golf course. Is if you get yourself on the wrong side of one of the lights, then it actually makes it quite hard
it's
to see.
It's highly strategic with it. It was very penal and strategic at the same time.
And it's also the only time I've seen it. The halfway house would probably put almost any halfway house to shame on an ordinary golf course. And it's there just for the squeeze and the wedge.
Yeah.
And it's open at night.
Yeah,
so you go in there,
amazing. It's pitch black outside, and you walk and you think, and we're both, Sam's walking off to the halfway house, and me and Tom are going, is it going to be closed, Sam? What are you doing? Let's just carry on. Open.
There you go.
Guy there, mixologist. What cocktail would you like?
Hot apple cider.
Yeah. It's just magic.
They keep labeling it as apple cider. That cider is apple.
Yeah.
You can have pear cider, I grant you that, but in its traditional form, it's
okay.
apple.
Well, that's but
the squeeze, just very quickly, that is 11 holes of basically half pars, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought it was
Short
10 holes. Was it
10?
Anyway,
10, 11.
So first couple of holes, they're like 290, no bunkers, and we'd played at this point like big boy golf courses up to this point in the trip, and loved them all, and we get to the squeeze. And I think every one of us was just saying, how good is this? Like, what a relief from the other courses.
I think the relief extended lots of ways, though. Like, it was the first time we had no caddy.
Yeah.
It was the first time we weren't playing a big course. It was mega wide. It was like a playground.
Yeah.
It was just like, just go out there. And there was no one on the course.
Yeah, it was so good. And actually, I was saying, they need this on a resort course because... If it's the only time you're ever going to play a golf course, it was all out in front of you. It wasn't overly penal, but there was so much like cool, fun movement going on without the bunkers, all grass for a lot of the holes. And,
all of them are 290 par 4s, aren't they, really?
Well,
these short threes,
they could have
a 600-yard 5.
Yeah. Well, they could have. I think they said the longest par 5 in the whole property is on the squeeze.
Yeah.
But they could have put 18 holes of that on, and we'd have done 36 in a day, and it would have been an absolute dream. But that was a real highlight of the trip for me. The squeeze, loved every minute of that.
No. Okay.
Should we talk about our golf a bit so far? It's gone under the radar on part one. Obviously, we got this sort of gambling game going on in the background.
Yeah.
Did you win any money this week, Ryan?
You shared a pot. I've just looked.
Been keeping track of it all.
You didn't
so
win
I'm just
any
sort of
pots
in
on
your
your own.
hands.
Which is ironic because your golf has
has
been absolutely exceptional. You're hitting the ball so good, so much control. The wide ones of, last few years seem to be gone, and you've enjoyed some handicap cuts, haven't you? You were playing really good golf.
Thanks.
But obviously not good enough.
Well, cream does rise to the top, I find.
I think the short game on Bermuda, I mean, everybody deals with it differently, but that's probably, I've not been playing a lot lately, and in the short games, obviously everyone knows that's what goes first. If you're not playing a lot, then you don't have the feel. But chipping on Bermuda with the grain, you just go back and forth, like, should I use the bounce? And then, it grabs once, okay, I'm going to try and use the leading edge, and then you blade or chunk them, and it's just, you just get in your head with it, because you just have to be so precise with this types of grass out here, I think.
Yeah, it's brutal. I mean, I found that pine tree, didn't I? I was like,
well, you add to that the greens with the undulations and them trying to repel the ball off the green the whole time, and it's just, you get on the wrong side of some of this stuff, and you're just bouncing all over the place, back and forth over the green.
I think where I did quite well on this tour is my iron game is absolutely atrocious at the best of times.
Yeah.
Whereas my short game is quite good. Whereas you boys could hit good iron shots and be repelled. I'm hitting crap iron shots and ending up in roughly the same spot because I was never going to hit the green.
Yeah.
But you hit good shots and missed the green, and then we're all kind of where we are then. It's up to your short game.
Well, it's like the second on the Black Extreme song we talked about, that risk reward stuff, or 15 on Karoo at Cabot. You're playing to the fairway. Me and Sam are trying to drive the green, and they're designed as like risk reward drivable fours, where if you go for the green and you don't pull off the perfect shot, you are going to get absolutely screwed. And sure enough, with a bit of my distance, I'm able to take some of these holes on, and I got screwed quite a lot. Because you don't have to hit. I think these are designed where for a drivable par 4, if you're trying to hit a 300-yard shot and you're 10 yards offline, which with the driver you often will be, then they're going to hurt you. And that's, I think, where the genius of these courses are, because next time you're probably going to think, do you know what? On 15 at Karoo, I'm going to play left on the fairway. On 2 on Streamsong Black, I'm going to play short left of the green. That's when you start like unpacking the strategy of the golf course.
Before moving on from Cabot, the final thing isn't anything to do with Cabot itself, but our at-Prey golf at the dive bar. What was it called?
Oh,
what was it called?
Old Mill. So we couldn't get in the lodging at Cabot because it's just rammed, isn't it, around the show. So I've booked an Airbnb, and it's like every time you look at a map in the US, you basically, I think subconsciously, your brain in the UK, you look at, there's a couple of junctions or a couple of turnings, and you sort of see the road layout, and you're like, that'll be like 5 minutes around the corner. Booked it, like all the other map stuff, and you're like, okay, it's 20-minute drive, 25. Drove up, stayed in Homosassa Springs, which is and around that area, or Something Springs that's next to that. And we got like an Airbnb, another like some big sort of like retirement house or something. And there's nothing to do there. So it's like, well, let's book a bar. Guy in the halfway house. Quite why he was a reliable source at this point in time, I have no idea. Then told us we need to go to the Old Mill, and it's on the water.
We said we wanted some drinks and some food, right?
And I was like, fine. And in my head, I imagined like some sort of Louisiana decking, music, everyone having a great time. I walked in, it was just an absolute dive bar in the middle of nowhere.
Christmas lights still up.
Christmas lights are still up.
Karaoke ongoing.
We were playing pool. There was 2 guys who were telling us that they were stranded 4 hours from home, and they met in a bar
online so they could go kayaking to see the manatees.
Yeah, there's karaoke going on, like say in the corner. The whole thing just felt like
this 70-year-old
the wrong guy, we were going to be like we were going to end up in a bathtub.
This 60, 70-year-old woman came and befriended us because she owned a bar in.
Where did she own a bar? Michigan or something?
It was up north, isn't it? Yeah.
It was an extraordinarily odd evening. And I remember getting past the time and thinking, it's like 11 o'clock now. I think now's the time we get out of here while we've still got our limbs intact, you know?
Well, so the tradition there apparently was that when you visit, you sign a dollar bill and staple it to the wall, which they made us do. So, yeah, if you're ever in town,
go see the proof that we were there. But
anyway,
extraordinary evening. I mean, truly, it was very, very.
There's a lot of big après golf though, wasn't there?
Last mention on Cabot, and again, everything is so on brand. They have their own custom hole cups. When you hold a
you
ball
love this, don't you?
on any Cabot property, it makes a very distinctive ting.
It's very Disney, but it actually sounds a lot better.
It sounds exactly like this. So that was recorded by you because you just were so interested in the noise.
Well, also, the guys
that was something different that I hadn't seen before. So watch this space at the ad.
Guys, the next leg of our tour is less resort heavy. So our goal was to head up to Savannah. You seem to have a real burning desire to get up there. We had some friends that play up at Secession. You have a friend who plays a bit of golf at Congaree. Everyone tells you just how good these places are. So we needed absolutely no convincing. And then the cold snap, because it was mighty cold, we should say at the start of this tour, had led to snowfall on the coast in Savannah. Now, that they don't know how to deal with that. They don't get snow.
It's the first time it's ever
years.
snowed in some of these places.
Yeah, so not surprisingly, they sort of said, look, we're closing the course for a few days. And we'd gone from having an absolutely brilliant itinerary with the exception of one night's accommodation in Orlando on the Monday night. Everything was locked and loaded to, right, we've now got no accommodation and no golf.
And we actually lost money on accommodation.
Yeah, exactly. So we're sort of thinking on our feet a little bit. And then a couple of friends we managed to, sort of 11th hour, just sort of say, look, if you head down to West Palm Beach, you've got warm weather. You've got all the sort of trappings of West Palm Beach, which is well worth seeing as a place. It's a bloody odd part of the world, really, isn't it, in terms of the staggering amount of wealth and just everything around that. I was like, bloody hell, didn't quite appreciate all that. And we played Bear Lakes and Pine Tree, which I would say were two private clubs, and there's a ton of private clubs in that part of the world. And they were just two very, very different. And we had great days at both.
Yeah. I should just say how fast news travels. When I was trying to speak to David to try and book Pine Tree, thanks for David for sorting that. How fast news travels. It's like 2 days later, and he goes, "Did Sam get the car stuck at Highgrove?"
There you go. Not did Sam get the car stuck at Highgrove?
Yeah, can I just be super clear on this point? Ryan put the car in basically quicksand.
So Bear Lake Saturday, and thank you, Mac, for hosting us.
Yeah. So that was Bear Lakes was exactly what I thought Floridian private member golf would be like.
Yeah.
It was very plush. It was very primo. It was loads of water, and it put a high premium on your ball striking. I mean, incredibles. You turn up and they've got this wonderfully ornate clubhouse, and you drive up and drop your car off, and it gets valeted for you, and then you have the largest TrackMan range in.
But one of the best driving ranges I've ever seen.
TrackMan range in.
Did we agree it was the best driving range of tour?
Yeah.
Pine Tree was also.
Pine Tree was up there
for very different reasons.
Very different reasons.
Pine Tree, arguably, but Bear Lakes was really good, and it had the TrackMan
range. So basically, they have these. So anyone that uses Golf Sim, they got TrackMan behind your ball. TrackMan range is they have this at Cabot as well. They have the radar system up on these high poles, and so it's basically tracking everybody's golf ball. So you can stand up on your bay, put your phone down in this little holder that it's got for your phone, log in, tell it which bay you're in, and then you just hit golf shots, and it's giving you all the data on your phone. So if you were so inclined, you could look at, just start. I want to just work on like 100-yard wedge shots and just hit them, and it's telling you the whole time.
You almost wet
what you're
yourself.
doing.
You were
didn't you?
excited, weren't you?
Yeah,
But you go under the road for it, don't you?
That
And you
was
come
really
up and you
cool.
crest, and you're like,
Yeah.
wow, there's just like, and I mean, there was not one blade of grass out of place.
Well, it's so unusual. We've talked about this just on like what's lacking in UK golf, and I don't really know of many, if any, full length driving ranges in the UK that you can hit off grass with premium golf balls. I mean, they're basically all at like the private clubs, and none of them would be publicly accessible. But yeah, you go these clubs in the States, they all just seem to have just perfect driving ranges. You're hitting off perfect turf, and I think it actually affects like golf in the UK, like because you're as a young kid, like growing up playing golf, if you're hitting off a mat, you could be hitting 2 inches behind the ball, and you're hitting pure golf shots that are arguably going further because of that. So you're hitting off grass, and it's just so good for your game. So yeah, I just think that's something that's really lacking in the UK, and it's such a pleasure to visit places that have really premium golf balls and driving ranges.
But before we get to playing golf at Bear Lakes, the last round of golf we had was at the Karoo, where even though you loved it, Ryan, you had a particular stinker. So the amount of money that was on Bear Lakes, most of it donated by Ryan,
Sam will have it.
was about 160 quid, I think.
No, I think my share was 100.
Yeah, your share was 160.
Right.
I think we were in for 250 or something like that.
Yeah, the pot size was 330. Ryan had £165 of exposure on that one.
So yeah, even though you
that was the big one. Up to that point, the pots hadn't been silly.
No, they've been like 80 quid.
I then like put in this stinker,
a string of doubles.
So I'm then having to win at Bear Lakes, or otherwise I'm just giving up all this money.
Yeah.
So we get to Bear Lakes, and it's honestly, it was the first time we went back to sort of championship length. We went to 7,000.
Yeah,
and it was 7,000. They've had a lot of rain in Florida, so you're not getting much release on the ball.
Yeah,
and that was the first time it was like absolute premium ball striking required.
Yeah.
Which is where I fell down big.
I would say that was the toughest amount of ball striking into greens I can remember playing, because I think the difference in the UK is if you play a golf course at 7,000 yards and let's say it's 400 yards too long for your own game, the ball just still releases. It's all a bit more compact and it's thinner grass. It just bounds up a little bit, and there's not as much jeopardy. These types of golf course, like Bear Lakes that we're talking about, the greens have got this very, very high end Bermuda in them, which is very woody and firm, and doesn't really accept golf shots. And whilst the greens weren't majorly undulating like a Karoo or these resort courses, they were firm, absolutely rapid.
The fastest greens I think I've ever played on.
The second you dropped back from, let's say the way the green was built was sort of designed to be hit with a low to mid iron. It wasn't we were playing too long, but we weren't advancing the ball as far as you'd want to. And you were hitting, the second you're hitting a 6 iron in as opposed to an 8 or a 9 iron in, the target just became unfathomably small.
Yeah, you're not, and you're never, I think even up to this point in the whole trip, never hit a shot that had backspin on any green. Every single shot hits the green and jumps forward.
They're
rock hard, and they are absolutely pure and true. I don't think I ever saw a putt bobble.
It was lovely. It wasn't. And that's why I loved it, because it was a great contrast to go and play something that is purely aerial. This is about.
It was maple leaf on stone.
It was a very traditional, stereotypical Floridian golf course, as we would think of it.
Yeah.
You're playing your golf in complete luxury. The carts are just sumptuous. So you're sitting in the buggies going around. The cart girls coming at you almost every 2 holes. We've got beers and high noons and all sorts coming in, and it's absolute luxury, and you're having tons of fun. But it was, I mean, if you boil it down to the actual the golf, I found Bear Lakes really quite tough.
Yeah. Well,
so yeah, I think that it was just a really cool contrast with that type of golf.
Yeah.
Going from resort, new age, where, if I'm honest, we'd played a lot of that type of golf where it's rollicking greens, tons of shapes, never losing a ball off the tee, to being like, Christ, I've got to absolutely slot this thing.
it was Nicklaus design, wasn't it? They're both Nicklaus
Both.
designs. Yeah, we played the Lakes. There's the Links, which is across the road, which is part of the driving range, and it was just like it just put an absolute premium on your ball striking, and I fell down massively. I think you must have won the pot, Sam,
No, I think you did.
at Bear Lakes.
Don't
No,
remember.
I can't. I was
Are
absolutely.
they having a
atrocious.
renovation? Are they
They're
the
about
square
to-
greens on
They're
those?
about
that
to blow
plan?
up the Links and renovate it,
Right.
and just change it up.
Yeah, the
roots
square
and everything,
greens
but-
look really cool on that plan.
when they put it, they kind of had the renovation up in the clubhouse
Yeah.
for us to look at it. But Bear Lakes, I'm really really pleased we did it. It was a completely different. It was a penal golf course that required great ball striking. Water left, out of bounds right. It's kind of like it was tough and very 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 good day.
It's almost impossible, and it's not impossible, but it is tough to find something. So two courses, two types of places so close together that are so contrasting.
With Pine Tree and Bear Lakes.
Well, no, just I'm thinking more like the resort stuff with
Right.
with something like Bear Lakes, and just that out and out. It's penal. Hit the shots, hit the windows. Like you've got to hit it 170 to that flag.
And
Do
the
it.
greens were, I think, some of the quickest greens I've ever been
Yeah.
on in my life.
Yeah.
They were absolutely glass.
Yeah.
If glass stimps at 22, those things were 23.
It was. I mean, it's what these guys out here want. It's these quick greens, hard
Well,
greens.
we were told that because this is unusually cold weather here. I mean, like decades unusual, in the span of decades unusual, and supposedly Bermuda, when it gets colder, it goes more dormant and has less resistance on the ball. So they were saying actually when it's colder, it's opposite to the UK. The greens will actually speed up. So I think
Really?
that's one of the reasons why we've experienced some seemingly particularly fast green speeds this week.
But we had a great day, and we'll come on to Pine Tree shortly. And did some again? There's more sort of nuance between Bear Lakes and Pine Tree in terms of the course and stuff. But in the afternoon, after a few cocktails and a bit of lunch, we hopped down to the park and went out and played the pitching putt. And that was just got to be the best sight, I think, all tour.
So much fun.
Playing around there.
We joined groups.
We joined groups with a couple of young lads
Two
who were
13-year-olds.
remarkably mature. I mean, the one lad, I said to him on the first tee, because you've got a queue to go and play this thing. I said, he said, "Oh, where else are you playing?" I thought it was a very mature question. So he must have been 12 or 13. Great lads. Top lads. I said, "Oh, I'm playing Pine Tree." He's like, "Yeah, it's great. I don't get there enough. He's
Yeah.
how much golf are these kids playing? But they're all just little sort of wedge shots.
Turns out the kid was like an influencer, wasn't he? He was.
We played with two 13-year-olds. It was Julian Edwards and Finn Drittenbach.
Can't use their surnames.
I asked. They said they wanted to be shout out.
Okay,
I
fine.
asked. They got permission from the coach.
Good players, and the parents just
Plays
love
off.
taking-
So I believe it was Julian plays off 2.8.
Yeah.
13 years old.
Yeah.
And quote from him: "I kill it in the men's league."
I don't doubt it for a moment. He killed it. We joined up and suddenly we made like
Yeah, we
basically
split them,
threes
didn't we?
match play. We split them, and
But
yeah,
what
the
it
kids
was,
were carrying us. We had no chance.
and that he's got a deal with TaylorMade.
I think so. Yeah.
13 years old, and then I think I left the ball short, and he looks at me and goes, "The trick is to get the ball to the hole."
We got absolutely taken
And it's-
down
by
by
the
I
way,
know,
his-
the 13-year-olds.
One of their parents was with them, so it wasn't just that we'd adopted two children.
No,
It
no,
was-
no. But that
it
so
was supervised.
just on this place, we turn up. There's a bar like in the middle of the putting green. The putting green is getting ready for night golf, so they're like sticking lights in the green and stuff. I have never seen so many infant babies on a golf course.
Tons of like
They were-
3-year-olds,
Yeah,
4-year-olds.
well, not even. They're
Babies.
seeming like 6-week-olds being held under an arm by mothers and fathers, whole families going out to play golf, prams, pushchairs,
just rammed with kids. It's
amazing
so
how
good.
many kids were there playing golf. And we were inquiring about it, just saying, where does this culture come from? Because I've never seen anything like this. And supposedly, that area they were saying is like golf, very golf focused. a lot of the professional golfers live around there, and they were saying you will be in the supermarket and you might see Rory McIlroy, you'll see Justin Thomas, or you'll see Justin Rose, and so it seems to be very much part of the culture around there.
It definitely has the wind on its back, West Palm Beach,
Yeah.
to build that sort of a model. That was the big regret of the tour, was not making the park happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's regarded to be one of the best golf courses in Florida.
Gil Hunt.
Can I just interject? As I look to my right, we're watching what I'm assuming is a couple, man and woman, playing a golf course.
With a
Both
baby
of them pushing trolleys, and one of them pushing a trolley and a baby in a pram.
Yeah.
It's just not something you see in the UK.
No.
Like babies in
You're
the
going to
pram.
go over and tell them to get off the golf course.
So
Not
shouldn't be.
safe.
This is not safe,
But-
shouldn't it?
Would you do that? Like,
Well,
it's like me and my wife talked about this when our kids were like infants. It's like, could you take the pram on the golf course? And she just said, well, what if there's like an errant ball from
Not with
another
my
hole?
short game.
Nobody's safe. But I would say that the putting green, that whole facility at the park, that was all free. There
Yeah.
was no fee for any of that stuff. So it's got families down there, kids playing, hyper relaxed. The little par 3 thing we played was buttons.
What did
cheap
we?
to
Do you remember
play.
what we paid?
Can't remember, but it wasn't very much. And then the park itself is this new Gil Hanse renovation. It's like 9th best in Florida. And it's just an absolutely immense public access 18-hole golf course. So I think, like you said, the whole area was absolutely brilliant. So
Why are you laughing, Sam?
Sam's got the giggles. I'm not entirely sure why.
What did you pay? Can't remember. Completely up the end of our tree.
Well, brilliant. So
No, we should say Mac. We're hosted by Mac. We had lunch. I was going to ask, do you think our experience at Bear Lakes with how like socializing seems to be a big part of that club?
Very social.
You get into the lunchroom and it's like the lunch is phenomenal, and the barman is so like
Gregarious, aren't they?
It's just such a big part of the vibe there. But I did wonder, is that because it's a Saturday? Like, we played on a Saturday, everyone's off work presumably.
Yeah.
If you went there on a Monday,
It wouldn't be like that.
yeah.
Saturday definitely felt like you'd gone into a party day.
Yeah, it
And
was.
It was very much a gala day.
So Mac was leading the charge with that, and we sort of followed his lead. So we had quite.
we was
a bit
fairly
of
willingly
lubricating.
followed his lead.
And then lunch, and then we go to the park, and then it was quite a long day. And I think
Didn't we
Tom,
take picnic boxes out with beers with us?
Yeah, so that was the great thing of the bar in the middle. They give you like a little handheld cooler, fill it with ice, fill it with beers. It was
We
great
were playing. So the match we were playing wasn't match play. It was only, like it was like the conch, Lord of the Flies. It was like if you won the last hole or you halved the hole, but you'd won the hole before, the loser had to carry the beers.
Yeah,
Remember,
that was it.
carrying the beers. So the losing pair was like carrying the beers.
Just trying to get off it.
But yeah, cannot recommend it enough. If you are anywhere near Orlando, Tampa, Miami, make the trip to West Palm Beach, play the park, and just spend some time around
It was a shame that we didn't get to play the 18.
Let's touch on Pine Tree, and then we're going to talk about Sawgrass and Winter Park, which I want to make sure we leave time to really talk about those. I mean, Pine Tree is a very private club. I knew absolutely nothing about it. It's just exactly where
I felt like it was a Blackwell
we
of.
talk so much about Americans that come over to the UK and just trying to tick off their headliners.
Yeah.
And you hear so much about Seminoles, a very private place, and amazing golf course, and all these places we're talking about. You sort of places like Pine Tree, it doesn't really register on your radar that much, and then you turn up and you're like, but yeah, it's like Augusta in Florida. This place, like
it was like
dark wood, the logo, it was all just very quiet, very classy, all just like
Very
classy is the word that comes to mind. Yeah,
That-
it kind of reminded me of Peachtree a little bit in a way.
Yeah.
But that was more to do with the kind of like, it just felt like old worldy.
everything around it. It was all just
It was, and from every step through the clubhouse, it was just consistently classic.
I think when we played Bear Lakes, I think everything felt fast.
Yeah.
It's like you go in and there's really high ceilings in the clubhouse, and it was kind of right, let's go hit some balls, and you get in a buggy and you're going around, and it all just felt like everything just was coming at you a million miles an hour, and you arrived on site at Bear Lakes, and it was just like
The pine tree.
Pine tree.
You arrived on site at Pine Tree, sorry, and it was just like, yeah, okay, you can walk over there, but you got 10 minutes to walk over there, and then if you want to hit some balls, you got 20 minutes to hit balls. Don't worry about it.
It's all going to happen, but it'll happen on our pace.
Exactly.
And I think some of this is day of the week because Americans seem to have much more of a rota around things, like shutting things on a Monday. And Saturday seems like a party day. Small sample bias potentially, but Sunday just felt very, very, very calm, relaxed, classy. Had a great day with Alan's, a top bloke, and the golf course was actually freakishly good.
So supposedly, was it Bobby Jones? They said it was the best flat golf course in America.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was a flat site, but I was just utterly blown away by the golf course. It was from start to finish, just big smile on my face, making you think on every shot. It was wonderful. Some of the purest greens I've ever played in my life.
Also, like just being able to walk it.
Yeah.
So the fact that we walked the golf course kind of slows it all down again, and it's just like it all felt very much like let's just stroll through this.
It's like 7 straight days of golf at that point.
Yeah.
And we're
we had a day off at the PGA show, which was like 30,000 steps walking up and down a convention centre, but we were really pounding out the miles. It was quality, wasn't it? There was there's it's just a very elegant private club with a really nice golf course that every touch point we just felt like it was all consistent with the other million touch points. Would if anyone has a chance to play that and they don't hear about it, it's
we
another one to
lucked
jump
out
at
that weekend because we had Pine Tree Sunday, Bear Lakes Saturday. I think before that we hadn't heard of either of those. We've had to book those because at last minute on Friday we're told that our weekend plans are cancelled because of the snow up north. And I think as a testament to both courses, we were told on Friday evening, leaving Cabot, the group we were with, we said, we've just finalised our plans. We're doing Bear Lake Saturday, Pine Tree on Sunday. The first group we saw on our way out saying our goodbyes said, never heard of Pine Tree. Bear Lakes is amazing. You'll have a great time. Second group said, never heard of Bear Lakes. Pine Tree is spectacular. You're going to have a great time.
Yeah. That was brilliant.
So now getting down to the meat and the potatoes of this. Monday and Tuesday, which is where we are recording this podcast now at Winter Park. Monday, Sawgrass. We went upstairs St. Augustine or something, which is actually much larger. Can we just leave 2 minutes for Buc-ee's? I got very excited. I got to talk about Buc-ee's.
Sam liked Buc-ee's.
Well, we're big on service stations, aren't we, in the UK?
Well, we're in the car, and Tom and I think we're going to be able to get somewhere on time. And Sam looks at us, and usually Sam's the one to poo-poo our ideas. And Sam suddenly starts acting giddy and saying, we need to stop the car.
I've never seen an operation like it. So it's just basically, it is a comfort stop, service station, whatever they call them over here. And it is just gargantuan, isn't it?
104 petrol pumps.
104 petrol pumps. Unbelievable selection of food. It's just as big as the... Do you remember seeing those ice boxes where you could help yourself to ice?
I think you have to pay for it.
You have to pay for it. Yeah,
well, you have to you have to buy it still. But you go and pick it out of these massive
give them money,
boxes.
they just give you it.
So much merchandise, great, good logo. Good logo, the squirrel or whatever it was, or the gopher.
So you were taking me to all
the hot sandwiches, deli counters.
So you were very sad I didn't let you buy a brisket sandwich.
But
they do their own smoked meat, their brisket, their own trail
bakery.
They have their own clothing line.
Own jerky.
They have their own clothing line in the back.
It was pretty
spectacular.
Enormous.
And they've got permission to build more.
And the longest car wash in the world they've got over the road.
You got it. Anyway.
What else? They had their own chutneys. They had that going on.
Everything.
The flips. Chocolate pretzels. My wife loves them, but I think you dig them as well.
Yeah, they're
They had white labeled Buc-ee's white chocolate pretzels.
Those things are dangerous.
Oh my goodness gracious! It was
Gentleman Sawgrass.
So shout out to Paul, a friend of. I won't say how we know him, just to I don't want to dox him, but let's say a friend of mine got us onto Sawgrass. Member at Sawgrass.
Which by the way, I didn't know Sawgrass had members.
No, so I think that, what did they say? Have 100 members?
100, yeah.
Because the PGA Tour own the venue, but then
Yeah.
TPC Sawgrass also has a small club of members that can be members
So
and play there. And they've also got Dyes Valley. I would have
didn't
loved
know
to
there
have
was a
played
second course
Dyes
there.
Valley.
Yeah.
I would have loved to as well.
It's
Looked great.
interesting looking across. So we did a bit of filming on site. When we arrived, I just launched straight out to do some filming. And there are 2 courses there. So you're like, I wonder if I'll know which one is which. And then you have this hyper verdant green course that kind of meanders its way around. And then you've got this yellow course that goes
they let
elsewhere.
the Bermuda go dormant on the
Yeah.
other one.
Different grass types.
Yeah.
So
which
for
is
people
really-
who don't understand, what enables Augusta and Sawgrass to look the way they do is they overseed with rye, which
Yeah.
is what gives it that very distinct, dark, heavy green tone. If you just let the Bermuda strain run over the winter, it'll die off and go dormant and go yellow and desaturated.
So they have 2 different.
Neither are bad playing surfaces.
No. But they have
No.
2 different. They have 2 different grasses for 2 different times of the year.
Yeah.
Which took me ages. You hear this term all the time on the PGA, PGA Tour coverage about oh yeah, they overseed with rye. I had no idea what that meant.
Yeah.
Basically means as the Bermuda season comes to an end and it would go dormant, they shut the course down. They just completely overseed with a grass type, in this case rye, that will survive in a different climate, and then they let that grass type dominate until that season is over, and then they switch over to another grass type.
So if you remember in the last year's tour pod, we talked about dormant Bermuda. So these new courses that are popping up, there is, if you'd have looked in the 1980s, 1990s, in the noughties, everywhere would have been overseeding. I would say in the southern US, and then it takes an enormous amount of water to change, to get all that grass to germinate. It's quite unsustainable, from an ecological.
And you have to shut the course for 2 months as well.
Yeah. So you do. So a lot of places now, like for instance Pinehurst, when they redid Pinehurst with Corin Crenshaw for the 2011 US Open, I think that was like a restoration to where they just put a line of sprinklers down the fairway and it's just very minimal and there's like sandy roughs. If you remember like the previous iteration of Pinehurst, bright green, really thick, lush rough, that would...
But they still don't let it burn off that much because they don't want to go fully pale.
But they would have always overseeded. So
Yeah.
the solution they have now is we're not going to waste the money overseeding, and instead they use dyes. So they actually dye the grass dark green. So a lot of places will do that now instead of using the ryegrass, and they'll keep the Bermuda. And it's quite like a fast-running golf course if you do that because the Bermuda's dormant. But a lot of places now don't even dye, which is what now these places are embracing, the yellow look of dormant Bermuda. So it's quite like I don't know many places anymore that still overseed. I'm sure there's plenty that we don't know about, but a lot of the places we visited basically are dyed Bermuda. Or undyed Bermuda that's yellow. We turn up to TPC Sawgrass. It's in Florida in the winter, so it should be yellow. It's Bermuda, and it is lush green.
It's breathtaking to look at that golf course. Just on the aesthetic, we're going to talk about the design and the sort of intent around it.
So we're driving in, and the sides. It's a long drive. The sides of the road are. They would be the best manicured, highly conditioned aprons of any golf course you've ever seen in your life, and it's just the verges of the road, and up to the clubhouse. It's enormous, opulent Spanish sort of style.
There was 8 guys mowing, hand mowing an area between cart paths that wasn't part of the course.
Second cut, like just the rough.
Yeah,
all hand mowed.
Immaculate, and every blade of grass sticking up perfectly vertically. Every blade of grass. The one thing we all loved it, but we're all playing this Bermuda golf, and ryegrass is actually what we'd find a lot of in the UK. So it was way closer to what we would know for our own golf game with chipping and pitching and hitting shots than anything else we've seen in Florida. But I don't think many courses are looked after like that anymore, just because of the amount of water and manpower that it takes. But we saw, you guys, like 8-9 people in a row with hand mowers just mowing the roughs up and down the sides of holes.
Yeah, and some of these weren't even like in play. It's just, the attention to detail Now, clearly, they are one of the most expensive green fees you can play. They've got the players tournament that happens there every year. It is clearly, it's got the resources to do this. But the actual aesthetic of that golf course with that really dark green, the shaping on the edges of the bunker, those kind of, I don't quite know how to describe them. They're not sort of flash faced at all. The grass
it's like the grass
down.
verge rolls down onto
Yeah. And also the sort of linear nature of a lot of the bunkers and the shapes. It's not like, you've got those sort of straight lines and stuff. Oh, it's just absolutely gorgeous.
It's immaculate.
Such a good looking golf course.
I've been hearing over the last 5 or 10 years that TPC Sawgrass is now at a level people are saying that it is almost like Augusta, like in terms of how good the conditioning is, which I don't know if that's true or not. Not played Augusta. I've been to Augusta, but it's not. And
we'll send you out as a correspondent.
Yeah, sure. It's a similar look, but we were commenting on, they must do 60,000 rounds a year at TPC Sawgrass. It's effectively a public golf course. They do tee times from the sun up to sundown all day for like public golf, and yet it's in that condition. It was so impressive. So
I think it's interesting because I think in my own head it's reignited the debate of, am I able to separate condition from architecture?
Yeah. I'm struggling with that after that.
Because whilst I'd like to think that I was woke enough to be like, oh, that's fine, I love that architecture anyway.
I don't think anyone thinks you're woke at all, Tom.
No, but you know what I mean? Like, I'd like to think that I can separate architecture from condition. But when you play what is arguably the most conditioned golf course on the planet, it's very, very difficult to be like, yeah, that wasn't very good. However, I do think the architecture stood alone on its own 2 feet.
Yeah. So when
we shouldn't say the architecture wasn't good.
No.
Yeah. Well, this is the whole thing, because I would say, I think this is where I'll say I think I can separate condition from the design of golf holes, and you'll say, well, you're saying that, but that it's unconscious bias or whatever. I genuinely think.
How do you know what I'm going to say?
I'll be the judge of that. I think so many people go there or think of Sawgrass and they think of that 17th hole. And I've watched the players. It's the course I wanted to watch as a kid, and I remember it from, a young age. Those holes, before you even get near that little area, they are hyper strategic. Of all the courses we've played today, it's very straightforward, the decision you make off the tee. Almost every tee box at Sawgrass, you have to make a decision with what you're going to do with the golf ball.
Yeah.
Almost every hole has a very clear position around what the strategy of the hole looks like, and the closer you move towards that hazard, it makes that if you avoid the hazard, it makes the approach shot easier, and the further you go away from it gets tough. Just really clever things, like you're in the front left of the trap on the first hole, and that green canters left to right, so that you can take on a pin there, but if you get it in the bunker, it's almost impossible to get up and down. There was so much cleverness to the design. The 17th would be the weakest hole on property by some way.
It is. It's just.
And even then, it's a bloody good golf course.
I mean, the 17th. I mean, that's the one that you like. Everyone knows 17th Sawgrass, 16, 17, 18. It's Sawgrass. From the start of the round, it's just like banger after banger. Like the third is probably the only let up from absolute banger. It's a great golf hole. You stand on 4, it's like world class par 4 on 4. You've got a world class par 4 on 5 after that. The long par 5.
I mean, just take 4 as four's a really, really good example of why Sawgrass is so good. If we go through that at a molecular level, you have to make a very, very sensible decision with your line. Yeah, you've got to execute the shot. It's still like it's going to catch you out if you don't hit the ball well. But you want to be as close to that bunker on the right, don't you? Because the second you start moving off to the left of that hole, you're back out of position. But there's a constant carry, that diagonal line.
That's
and that
5.
diagonal.
4 was the 360-yard par 4 that had water in front of it, and you had to lay back from it. And then you chipped over.
No, 4 was where I was I just caught the bunker on the right.
No, that's 5. This is hyper confusing for Sam because he's never been wrong.
You're confused.
We're at an impasse here, right?
Look,
It doesn't really matter.
No, it does. It does.
Look, let's move on from that.
5,
The point,
6.
Sam.
Oh,
Yeah, you're gonna
The point,
running out of pop.
we talked about
it doesn't really matter about the whole number.
we talked about
the
having a
conversation.
hit driver on every hole, and I think Sawgrass was the first time this whole trip. I think we all remarked on this that we were on every single tee, and you could have hit driver through 5-iron, and every one of them felt like it could work.
They were all
and
viable.
And you were sat there thinking, I don't know what to do. It was a phenomenal amount of consequence and strategy that you having to work through your head on
So much
every single hole and
trickery.
every shot.
And there's
so much
stuff like
trickery with the eyes where like 10, you're like,
there's
Yeah.
stuff like 6, which is actual 6, where you hit the 4-iron,
Yeah.
which was probably, it was 100% the right play.
And I wanted to hit driver, and the caddy talked me into 4-iron, and Sam hit driver.
no, I hit 3-iron.
Okay, you pulled it left, right?
Oh, that's real
Oh my
6.
goodness,
Yeah.
real 6, yeah. So
You can
But you-
remember every one of the holes, though.
you,
Great
you,
set
remember,
of
you, remember,
throws.
you remember the holes. You just can't remember the order they went in.
Yeah, no.
But no, you hit 4-iron, which was 100% the right shot for you and your length. But like,
Tell me more, Tom.
but then you don't execute it,
Yeah,
which
pulled
I'll
it
tell
into
you
the
more.
tree.
There's the more of it. And it's like you just really annoyed yourself, and you like there were decisions you had to make, and you're like, that is the right decision, but then you still have to execute
Yeah.
and go with it. And it
But
was
you
just
were finding your ball as well. Like it was a super, in places, very narrow golf course, very heavily tree lined.
Really gettable.
Because
if
they've
you
got
make,
so many staff, all the tree lines are immaculate. So you usually would always find your ball, no matter how far offline you were. It was so refreshing, and it's hard to like try and purport that kind of golf because it's probably not really attainable for any.
I
other
found a
than
pine
3 golf
cone.
courses in the world.
Found
But-
a pine cone
but-
points in the wrong direction, so that's a quick chat.
but
to
also
Paul.
like
They sent a few guys out, and the problem was sorted out.
So I mean,
very quick,
Paul said
without any
something
fuss. It
that
was
I
just
think
a place. It
Paul
was
said something that sums up the golf
crystal.
course. Is that people go to that golf course and they play. They don't pay attention until 16, 17, 18, and they're going there for that. He says they've missed 15 world-class golf holes.
the best run of that course is 4 through 15, in my view.
It was so good. They even told us just a little tidbit that apparently the caddy said some people turn up to the clubhouse and ask if they want to pay, how much will it cost me? I want to just go out and play the 17th hole, please.
So we know how many rounds Sawgrass has each year, which we believe is something around. We worked it to be about 50 to
60,000.
60,000. And Paul asked us how many balls do we think the lake dredges, and it works out to be 2.48.
2.8. It was like
2.8
just under 3.
balls per golfer on
person.
17.
Yeah.
Which was mind bending.
I mean,
So we had so Paul, a member at the ad, and I'm obviously a member at the ad, and you two representing Blackwell. We had a good match, Blackwell versus the Addington, and we were 2 down with 2 to play. The Addington was, so we get to 17.
I was feeling so hot there. I'd gone birdie 15 and 16.
All
I was
that, yeah,
like,
you
I was like, this is going to be birdie 17.
Can we just have a moment for
Amazing.
16?
yeah.
Because like the bit that everyone knows about Sawgrass, and it is world class. Just throw 9 is absolutely world class. Par 5, 10 is strategically brilliant. It just starts to ramp up.
11, unreal.
Yeah, it just starts to get
Unreal
better and
golf
better and
hole.
better and better. Then you get to
11 is
16.
so good with the tree in the way.
You watch that on TV, and they play it from a tee box that was 40 yards behind us.
Yeah.
It wasn't loads behind us.
Yeah.
It was like 40 yards behind us. That hole is a lot more gettable than it looks. Like it looks like it's always like. But I think what's really strategic and really interesting about it is it puts the driver to a point where you have to make a decision. Like it's always going to be, you can get there. It's like 230 or whatever. Like you had 210 in, did you, or 205?
16.
Yeah.
Yeah, 16 was really shocked me because it's a par 5 on tour and you kind of expect it to be really long. And you think, unless you really uncork one, you ain't getting home in 2. But you're so bloody close to that green, and that tree is so close to you then, which is short left, the layup is really
But
uncomfortable.
visually, it doesn't look like you.
I had
can
210,
hit
and the caddy was like, "You've got
approach
to hit the
green.
shot. Like you know, you can hit a wedge out there, and we can try and we can par that way." But you're like, there's room left. It's constant decisions.
Yeah, really, really clever.
But
And
it
then
was
we get,
really fair.
and then so Sam birdies 16,
And 15.
birdie 15, birdie 16. We get to
I bet-
17, and I forget which way Dormy works. You can't be Dormy up. You're going to be Dormy down. Is that right?
No, it's not that. You can only be.
Dormy
you
is when
can-
you're down.
That's nitpicking.
No.
You're dormy if you are up or down
No,
as many
apparently
holes as
apparently
they
not.
No, so you can.
But
be,
apparently those people.
So no, we would Dormy
nitpicking.
2 up because the best result they could get would be to halve the match.
I know.
If we were in a club knockout, where someone's going to win this match, we would be 2 up with 2 to play.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Apparently, you can't be Dormy up or Dormy down. There is one of those that
The
is
losing
Dormy.
party is dormy.
Is Dormy. You
Yeah.
can't be Dormy up. It's like
Yeah.
right, okay. That, so anyway,
Hyper semantics.
I learned that the other day.
So we were. So the Addington was 1 down,
2 down,
and then
2
the
down.
15th.
2 down on
on the 14th.
All right.
After the 14th, the Addington was 1 down. I think
Mm.
we go. You and I both birdied the 15th. I just had to get in that I birdied 15.
Good.
Then on 16, Sam birdies, and Addington is 2 down, and we go to the 17th tee, and Sam is leading the way.
Got the honour. And if I'm honest, I was hitting it quite well
A
on
lot
that
of
back
cameras
nine.
on you, some people up in the stands. All the stands are up, by the way, because
Jay
the tournament's in a
coming
month.
out thinking
Yeah.
possible sponsor exemption for next year.
Only 3 handicap. I think make the walk. Four
So
handicap. I
what
think, make
was the
walk
number?
up.
It was 125?
No, the shot in 17 was 1-4.
His pin was right at the back, wasn't it?
One- right at the
125,
back.
way back
The
right.
cover was like 125.
Anyone
so it
that
was
doesn't
like
know,
pitching wedge.
if you haven't been living under a rock, then the green is an island green surrounded by water. First impressions, I thought it was way smaller than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
It looks bigger on TV in my
I don't
mind.
think it looks way bigger on TV. Maybe because we had to execute the shot.
Sam, you think the same?
No, similar to what I thought. Did not expect the wooden pirates walkway off the back of it, which is
The
there
caddy told me
51 weeks of the year.
the caddy told me half the people think it's bigger than they thought it would be, and the other half say it's smaller.
It's just a comment because you see it on 16, don't you?
Yeah,
I didn't. The contours were more pronounced on it than I thought they would
it's
be.
a massive slope. So the front, when you only see this when you walk after you've hit your tee shot, you walk up the left of the hole, and you look to the right to the green, and it is like a pyramid. The front of the green is heavily sloped down towards the water, and the back of the green is the opposite. So you have this like peak in the middle, and if you hit past the peak, you're going to kick long, and if you hit short of the peak, you kick short. And I think that the genius of it was that you know it's rare you get a perfect number, so you're always kind of between clubs there. And if you're between number, you're left with, do I hit the short club hard or the long club soft? And I think on that hole, you don't. I mean, I think most people would lean to I'll hit one
Yeah, I
harder.
want to hit one harder.
But if you hit one harder, you're going to put more spin on it, and there is such a severe slope on the front of that green, you just end up ripping off the front of the green, which was what I ended up doing. But it luckily got held up in the rough. So, Sam, you're taking your tee shot.
I came off as a fly there, and I thought this is quite a big shot, and it just didn't feel at the time. You know when you're over it, you're like, it didn't feel at the time, and it's like, let's not just make a move at this, let's step off it. Then I was like, hands are feeling a bit hotter than they were 2 minutes ago. This is for 3 on the spin and a place in the history books, really. And I backed off it.
History got the better of you.
I just came out of it. It was short. I was always destined for the water. I thought Ryan's shot was really interesting.
No. You get another go then, don't you? They
give you
say
one more.
reload. So
I shoved it up to about 10 feet. It's not a very hard shot if you hit the wedge properly. It's not that hard. But you got to pick a sensible target. And I think in the context of a tournament, you've got to be hyper aware of that slope. If you were playing in the Players' Week, your shot is exactly the one that would have been met with a watery grave.
Do they cut the collar in the Players' Week, you think?
Well, no, they still have that little fringe, which always gets critiqued, doesn't it? Because arguably you make the green smaller by doing it. I heard a really good suggestion by Tron that they should have like a block of rough collar,
alternating collar. That would be fantastic.
So it's a complete like roulette wheel.
Yeah.
But that because of that slope, your shot, you hit a good one. It was always going to be on the deck. It just hit the green, spins, and you're like, oh, okay, that's fine. It's going to back up a few feet, and I'll putt up the hill. and very quickly it starts to be like, fuck, that's going to come back down those sleeper faces.
You had about, what, 4 inches off falling off the front edge?
So it was held up in the rough. So I didn't want to chip, so I had to hit putter, almost like to get up on it to try and get it over the collar onto the green. So I had to lean back, and I was leaning over the water, and I very nearly fell in the water. But yeah, pretty much lipped out for a 40-foot putt for birdie. Addington goes 1 down up to the 18th.
You then uncorked one down there, didn't you?
Yeah, that finally hit a drive.
I pulled one into the water. Now, the 18th at Sawgrass doesn't look that bad on the TV, because you see so many of that golf hole on TV, don't you?
They all seem to struggle, though.
Par 3, par 5 or par 4 with water around the left. And you think, just blast it out right.
It doesn't work like that.
No, it's really narrow. And it looks like you can make some cover on it and bite off a bit. And it's just, you can't bite off much.
Thing is, our caddy said, so Sam's going to go, I'm going to go there. And he's going, no, go to that tree that looks like a dinosaur, which is like,
I couldn't see that one. He kept saying
little further right.
Couldn't see which one.
I thought a nice tree. But anyways, like, where's that second? I'm just going to go at that second red stake, like over by those sleepers. And he was like, well, no, that's 250 carry, which was like red rag to a bull to you.
Like, you'd have been better off saying that's a 350 carry, because I would have gone well.
You're like, watch this, and then hiked it into the water. I would say you reloaded and made a fabulous.
So you hit your shot.
Off
your 3 off the tee went into the pine needles right, and then just hit like a worldy approach from there and hold the putt for effectively a birdie, but 3 off the tee for bogey 5.
Was effectively a 5.
Well, it's not effectively a 5. It is a 5.
Yeah, which is not effectively a birdie.
I've gone fairway green 2-putt for the 4 to win the hole in half the match. Addington Blackwell.
You'll notice that they're both not mentioning my golf in this at all. I don't know why, because I took the money. So I took the money.
Can I just say,
they're talking about themselves.
I want to tie a bow on Sawgrass in a minute, because there's also a couple of things.
We've only got 10 minutes left in the pod. So
okay, right. So real quick takes on this. We've laboured way too much on 16, 17 and 18. Great that they are. Those holes that precede it are unreal. I was genuinely floored by the quality of the design.
Yeah.
I was like, that was sensational. Take 2, wooden walkway at the back of that green on 17, Mickey Mouse, very odd.
No, that's not fair.
No.
They do that because they can't have you on the grass.
I know, it's weird, isn't it? Do you know what
what you want to do? Swim to it?
There's a tournament in a month. They're trying to protect the grass.
Swim to it. You just walk over the grass.
No, but there's a players tournament next month.
What? The players tournament is in like 30 days.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, is this just the players and Sam Williams?
No, but I'm surprised they have that wooden walkway that goes around the back
of
it. So
you don't walk on the grass.
I know why it's there.
Do you want to hit from their tee boxes as well?
That's all right, but you feel like you should be able to walk over the grass. It was a bit odd.
Well, it's a tiny pathway. You kill it. 50,000 rounds a year, you kill it.
True, that's fair. Third take.
What an awful take.
They're terrible.
I'm not sure it is a terrible
Sit
take.
down.
I was really surprised there was a wooden walkway that props out.
You've said that.
Yeah, just to what happens. So they bolt on a walkway at the back, which isn't there for the players.
Yeah.
So it's like, so they literally build a bridge essentially that goes around the whole back of the island green, and you come onto the green like pretty much roughly where like that Cam Smith flag was.
Yeah.
Where you come on. And then that's where you leave. But obviously they do it just to protect them. That's the most ridiculous thing.
You don't see it playing the hole. You only see it when you get to the back of the green and walk onto it.
It's well done. It's just it stunned me. And the other thing is we were so lucky to be able to play. I think the members get like the earlier slot on the tee for obvious reasons. So we were effectively playing into an empty golf course.
We were the first out. And
so
played in like
unimpeded.
4 and a bit hours.
There was a 2-ball in front of us that we were never going to keep up with, and we played into an empty course. If we took a resort tee time there and paid whatever it is, $750 and the average round time is 5.5 to 6, I think there's a risk we would have a slightly different view on the actual day.
It was a really special experience. The really tall trees that have all got have light coming through them, casting shadows over the golf holes. It was magical. And we were talking after the round that if that had taken 6.5 hours, I don't think we'd all be sat there raving about it. I think it would have just felt very commercial. We'd have felt like cattle being just sort of herded around some transactional system.
And that's what it.
What did the
yeah.
caddy say the longest round he'd had was?
He's done 8
8 hours. I mean, so it's wall to wall public golf.
He did say it was it was some sort of event. There were 5 balls, but yeah, he said he's had an 8-hour round.
So I think what the takeaway would be, we cannot recommend it enough. It is a must-play golf course, but I don't think we could recommend paying the green fee.
Oh, I'm not sure about that.
But if it includes a 6.5-hour round,
but you can. I mean, you would just try and organise it that you are out early.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
I think that golf course would be, if I had one chance of playing it and the green fee was $750. It's a lot of dough.
Yeah, knowing what you know now.
Don't get me wrong, but once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah.
And if you could organise your trip that you can be at 10 a.m., 11 a.m., whatever it is, if you book it in advance enough, I'd do it.
Yeah.
If I could afford it and I could, like you say, and I was over there, I think $750 is a lot of money to play for 18 holes of golf. But I genuinely think Sawgrass was that good. If I bolted on a 6-hour round into it, it would ruin the day.
There are a few courses that you could say, like Augusta would be one. If you could pay $750 to play Augusta, would you do it? You'd bite your hand off, wouldn't you?
Mm.
Or Pebble's probably another one, or the Old Course is probably one that if you could guarantee a tee time in the Old Course,
Sam
would you
said
do
it
it?
well. All agree, all of the above. And if it was a 6-hour round, it would spoil it. Yeah.
Right. Finally, the place we are sat, Winter Park. We're a 9-hole in Orlando. We fly out in what is now probably 4.5 hours. We've done quite well with timings here. We've just played 9 holes. We're going to do 18, but we've sat down to complete the podcast. And we're here on the patio watching people, watching everybody. It's brilliant.
I've always thought this has been like a bit of a... I've always known it as a bit of a woke golf mecca, as like a sort of a really cool 9-hole place in the community that is doing a lot of good work. So when I knew we were coming here, this was probably top of the list personally to see, because I was just like, I really, really want to come and see how really good accessible golf is done in this part of the world. Because America, golf is blisteringly expensive. It is eye-watering money.
750p. I mean,
but Sawgrass is not an exception. It's like you don't play any country. There's just eye-watering sums of money as caddies and everything.
This is cheaper than a 20th of the price of Sawgrass.
Yeah, and the enjoyment is about as much fun as you'd have on any really good golf course.
Yeah.
Really, it's so we've arranged to play it today, and it's knockout. I mean, there's a lot of history here, because I think Winter Park is a district within Florida. You've been here before, haven't you, Ryan? It's like a more historic part of Orlando, I guess. Yeah. And the court, they've played golf here since 1914. So there's some beautiful black and white pictures of the old clubhouse, which doesn't look dissimilar to what's sat here now. And perhaps it is like the original building there that's been, modified a touch. And then, they did a massive renovation. I think it got up to 27 holes. Then that changed. And then, it got some investment, and Keith Rhebb, Riley Johns, big restoration, turn it into what is an exceptional 9-holer.
It's terrifying. So we're looking down the first now. I mean, the first hole's a 220-yard par 4.
Yeah, we thought it was a 3,
which we all thought was a 3.
Isn't it weird how par does that to you?
Yeah, we didn't even look. We just saw it was 220 yards, and we were like, right, okay, kill it to start. But down the right-hand side, if you miss the fairway by 10 yards, you're going to hit A, a vehicle, B, a house, or C, a person and dog.
A steady stream of driving cars on a
pedestrians.
very, very busy road.
Yeah.
And it's just absolutely...
And then you go to the third hole, and it's the same, but that
on both sides.
On both sides. And then a cemetery over that with people mourning their loved ones. And all up the left side of the golf hole.
Well, the routing's actually really clever, isn't it? Because there's houses throughout. And
it's
the actual course routing... Well, I think...
No, it's a P. And in the middle of the P is the cemetery.
Yeah.
Because you go up and you turn... So you go up a couple of holes, you turn right, you play down, then you loop around the cemetery.
You start at the base of the shaft of the P,
yeah.
and you get to the
It's the node.
inverted
It would be
C.
a
Yeah, the
node, yeah.
nose. You turn right and you sort of loop around, and then you're at the top of the shaft, and then
all the way back to stop saying the shaft.
So you basically you head up up from the bottom of the P, 90 degrees right, then you go 45
I think
degrees.
I just said
and you
this,
just loop.
didn't I?
Yeah,
But he has to say it
Dude.
to make sure that if it's real, it's got to be him that said it. So, and then you kind of loop around the cemetery, and then you work your way down, all the way down, then the sort of length of the P. It's 9 holes. There's a
This
couple
guy
of
here
par
is
fives.
putting out. He's got Phil Collins blazing.
It's a couple of par
Fantastic
fives.
greens.
Couple of par
Great
fours.
fun.
Doesn't it show
Wall
you
to wall
what you need?
fairway.
There's 9 really interesting greens. You've got
Yeah.
a Dan green. You've got I don't know what you thought, but that 6th green, the short par 4,
The half pipey type green.
yeah, that's like that old Mackenzie green on the 9th at Augusta. That kind of
The
massive
kidney
hoop
shape.
round. Yeah,
It doesn't exist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's just really great greens, short distance, playable for anyone. Never, everything on the playing surface is mown.
Never gonna. As long as you stay in the field of play, you'll find your ball. You can play it.
And the vibe as well. Like when you turn up, it's basically one room. There's coffee out of like a what would you call it, like
an espresso machine,
type of
yeah.
machine. You've got a bit of merchandise, so you can have the coffee. There's a fridge full of cans of lager and soft drinks, and you're straight out onto the golf course. Just one bloke behind the till, just $20 for a round of golf. It's
And
just
owned
for
by
all the
utterly
chat, and
simple.
all the chat about from what we hear on our side of the pond, if you want to play muni golf in America, you're in for 6-hour rounds, and everyone's scrapping on the golf course. I mean, we got round that in an hour 40, something like that.
Yeah.
Like for 9 holes, was it an hour 40?
Yeah, we're taking pictures and doing bits and pieces.
It was like
Not a bad hole out there.
and it's just mega chilled. It's like, look, some dude's got country music coming up next to us now. It's like wonderful.
It's a brilliant model
place.
for golf.
Yeah.
And I think what happened was, I'm going to have to check this. I could easily butcher it, but the city of Orlando own this golf course, right? It's part of their own. It's like a park, really,
Yeah.
isn't it? They put something like $1 million in. Chatting to Anthony, the guy who's the sort of main golf ops director of golf here. Put $1 million in. That pays for like a really, really ambitious restoration of a golf course and leave them with something good. Minimal use of hazard, so it's like really kind of like maintenance friendly, I guess. And he's like, yeah, I said, like, is it in the black? Does this cost the city of Orlando anything? He's like, no, it's profitable. And they're charging $20 a lap.
Yeah.
To residents.
Just all day, fully booked, Monday to Sunday. And what do they say? You can book 3 days in advance. It's like the local club for all these houses. It's a wonderful place, wonderful vibes.
It does sound very cliche, but 9 holes really do stick in the memory better. And whether it's because you're playing less holes, they become more striking because there's.
But also, if the strategy's good, I played another 9-hole and it was a really cool strategic golf course. And what struck me is playing it multiple times. If you played this 3 times in a day, the strategy is actually more interesting because you start to unpack it a bit and you start to decide to take different lines on different goes of it. So playing an 18-hole course that's incredibly interesting once, like we keep coming back to the second extreme song, if we could have played that another 2 or 3 times, that would have been great. But you don't get to because it's just 18-hole and there's more stuff there to see, so you don't. But here, you could plant yourself here, come here for a day. You could play this course 4 times, 5 times in a day, and you just keep, picking at the different bits of it.
The other thing is I think what's kind of been interesting about this whole trip, and we've said it before on this pod, and I'm sure we'll say it again, but just by making things shorter, invariably makes things just more interesting.
Yeah.
And, there's loads of options you can do here. And if we're looking at 220-yard par 4 now that we're looking at, and yeah, we can all get there. But like, if that was 320 yards and they just found 100 yards, it'd be like, right, okay, so we're all just wailing on driver.
Everyone hit driver.
And then we'll get up there and see what happens. And I just don't think we play enough short things in golf.
We said that, like we said about Sawgrass, first time this week where we got to tees and we suddenly having to decide what shot to play. The pros actually weirdly lose all that strategy because I think their tees are so far back And had we played further back, every shot becomes driver, and I think that actually simplifies the game in a really negative way. It's reductive.
People talk about penal and stuff being just about hazards and force carries and stuff like that. And I know we were joking about it earlier, but penal is ultimately just there's not the same level of options there, and it's a case of how well you can keep slotting a driver away. And great that all the resort courses we played were. You really didn't have to do and felt a lot of thinking on the tee boxes, and it was just I felt like by the end of that stretch of the tour, I was just absolutely thumping driver as hard as, because there was almost no consequence. And you come around here in that third tee box we were stood on there. I didn't want to hit the shot. I was like, I need to wait and see what you boys do before I know what my next move's going to look like here.
Yeah,
if you both sprayed them out there, I'd have hit 3 iron.
Shades of Borth and Nicklaus.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. But gentlemen, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for a wonderful tour in Orlando, in Florida. It's been tiring 10 days, but it's over. Seen some incredible golf, met some incredible people, and first and foremost, a big thank you to everyone that's hosted us or helped us along the way. And there's way too many to mention. Everyone's been far too generous. So if I've overlooked anyone we've met along the way, I do apologise. But sincerely, thank you to everyone that's facilitated this trip.
Adios.
Parting question. Who's the best driver on tour?
Me. This is car driver, by the way. Ryan is awful.
Ryan, if you imagine a fishbowl.
This is what we've been saying. The fishbowl. I say it to my wife. Fish tank. You got to imagine a fish tank full of water on your dashboard, and you've got to try and keep all the water inside it. That's the goal of driving. But Ryan's is just barren, sloshing around all over the show. Shout into me a lot. Shouts, do you like Mexico a lot?
Slingshot.
Just trying to keep it interesting.
You boys like Mexico.
It's definitely interesting.
Everything you said. Thank you to everyone who helped us put this trip together. And thank you to you both.
We're really fortunate. It's not lost on us, and hopefully some nice pictures and video stuff as well.
Yeah, we had some minty light days. I mean, that was one of the reasons we were kind of tired, because every morning even if we were playing at 10 a.m, it's like we need to get there at 7 for the minty light.
Final postscript. Who won the most on tour?
I think it was you.
I definitely
Moral
think it's
victories.
I think it was Tom. I'm gonna have to do the full damage, but Tom.
I think I've done it, boys. You talk your own games up.
Gentlemen,
really well
to bed.
Airport. I think that'll do. Gents, thanks so much. Great touring, and thank you for anyone who's managed to stick through those two podcasts. We hope you enjoyed them.
Adios.
Adios.
Watch this. Thank you,